Every rifle comes with a warranty. Only a handful deserve to outlive it. These 12 rifles, built in Finland, Germany, Austria, and America, keep cycling perfectly for decades after the warranty card is forgotten. Some are still running after half a century of hard use, counting down to the action that started it all. Number 12, the Browning X-Bolt. Browning has been building firearms since 1878, when John Moses Browning himself founded the company, and the X-Bolt carries that engineering pedigree into a modern hunting rifle. The free-floated barrel is bedded front and rear for a stable barrel-to-stock relationship that holds true year after year, and the three-lever feather trigger breaks clean with almost no creep. The detachable rotary magazine stacks cartridges vertically instead of staggering them, so rounds feed straight into the chamber without twisting. Independent barrel testing by Browning's own research team found the factory X-Bolt barrel matched a high-end custom aftermarket barrel shot for shot. Hunters who've dragged one through Alaska, Mexico, and the Rockies report the same story. No load development required, no babying needed, just sub-MOA groups straight from the box, hunt after hunt, season after season. It's a philosophy Browning has followed since the older A-Bolt line, and more than one reviewer has pointed to a local gamekeeper who's still running his original A-Bolt on a daily basis decades after he bought it new. Number 11. The Tikka T3x. Tikka is Sako's Finnish sister company, both now under the Beretta umbrella, and the T3x inherited the family obsession with accuracy that once defined Tikka's legendary TRG sniper rifles. The receiver is broached rather than drilled, which gives the action a glass-smooth cycling feel that usually only comes from expensive gunsmith work. Every T3x carries a 1 MOA guarantee, and professional stalkers across the UK and Europe have leaned on this rifle for over a decade, specifically because it shoots that well without any fuss straight out of the box. At a price point well under most of this list, it proves that decades of dependable service don't always require a luxury price tag. Number 10. The Ruger No. 1. Bill Ruger built this falling block single shot in 1966, basing it on the 19th century Farquharson action beloved by Old English rifle makers, after a Yukon hunting trip convinced him American shooters deserved a quality single shot of their own. There's no bolt to short stroke, no magazine to jam, and no extractor to fail under pressure, because the entire mechanism is a single underlever that drops a solid steel block straight down. A massive ejector spring throws the spent case clear every time. Ruger chambers the No. 1 in nearly 3 dozen calibers, from tiny varmint rounds to dangerous game cartridges, and generations of hunters have discovered the same truth over 60 years of production. Fewer parts means fewer ways for something to go wrong decades down the line. Number 9. The CZ557. Czech gunmaker CZ built its reputation on rugged, no-nonsense quality, and the 557 delivers that on a budget that embarrasses far pricier rifles. It swapped the older claw extractor for a smoother push-feed system with a plunger ejector, which cycles cleanly even under cold, wet field conditions, and single rounds drop straight into the chamber for fast reloading by hand. This design proved so dependable that Canada issued a purpose-built version to its Ranger units, who patrol the Arctic in some of the harshest weather on the planet. Reviewers have called it heirloom-grade engineering for a price under $800, and hunters who buy one for whitetail season often end up shocked that a rifle this affordable can outshoot guns costing 3 or 4 times as much. One longtime gun writer went as far as calling his test rifle a miracle worker, and he wasn't exaggerating for the camera. Number 8. The Steyr SM12. Steyr has been forging weapons in Austria since the 1200s, and the SM12 channels that heritage into a rifle engineered for brutal conditions. Its hand-cocking system lets a hunter silently ready the action right before the shot, and an electronic sensor automatically decocks the rifle if it ever gets tipped upside down by accident, preventing an unintentional discharge years into ownership. The receiver is rated for absolute reliable operation from 70 degrees Celsius down to -40, the kind of spec sheet built for professional hunters working the Arctic Circle one season and the African bush the next. The cold hammer forged barrel and Bavarian cheekpiece stock make it as elegant as it is tough. Number 7. The Sauer 404. German gunmaker J.P. Sauer & Son has been in business for over 270 years, and the 404 is a masterclass in precision machining. It's a modular switch barrel rifle, meaning a single aluminum receiver can be reconfigured across more than a dozen calibers, from a 243 Winchester varmint round all the way up to the 404 Jeffrey for dangerous game. Reaching that level of interchangeability without losing accuracy takes a level of quality control that ends with a scrap heap of rejected parts that didn't meet freakishly precise tolerances. Reviewers who've handled one describe every single manipulation of the bolt as impossibly smooth, with no grit and barely any noise. It's the kind of rifle a hunter buys once, in a caliber for every hunt they'll ever take, and never needs to replace. Owners who move up to a 404 from Sauer's own straight-pull rifles often admit the same thing. Their old favorite stays locked in the cabinet from that point forward. Number 6. The Heym Express by Martini. Heym has been building rifles in the German town of Suhl since 1865, and the Express is their answer to a simple, brutal question. What happens if your rifle jams while a wounded buffalo is charging? Heym's solution was to build a completely unique action and magazine box for every single cartridge they offer, so the feeding geometry is engineered specifically around that round instead of forced to compromise. And every barrel is cut, hammer-forged, and hand-fitted entirely in-house from Krupp steel. Prices start just under $10,000, and every buyer is paying for one thing above all else: a rifle that will never once hesitate when a life is on the line. Professional hunters in Africa have a saying about this category of rifle: a dangerous game gun that isn't 100% reliable is a danger in itself. And the Express has built its entire reputation, hunt after hunt, on meeting that standard. Number 5. The Blaser R8. Most bolt guns require you to lift and rotate the handle, but the Blaser R8 uses a straight pull design, so you simply pull the handle back and push it forward again, cycling faster than almost any other manual action on Earth. A radial collet system locks 13 segments directly into the barrel itself for repeatable accuracy shot after shot, and the saddle mount scope system returns to zero even after you remove and reattach your optic in the field. The entire rifle breaks down without tools in under 30 seconds, and swapping barrels between calibers takes about 2 minutes in camp. Over 45,000 R8 rifles have sold worldwide since it launched in 2008, and it remains the rifle of choice for European-driven boar hunts, where a fast second shot can matter more than anything else. Number 4. The Weatherby Mark V. Roy Weatherby introduced this action in 1958, engineering it specifically to contain the extreme pressures of his own high-velocity Weatherby Magnum cartridges, with some variants proof-tested to 100,000 pounds per square inch. The Magnum versions use 9 locking lugs instead of the usual 2, a design the company still calls 3 rings of steel, and every Mark V leaves the factory backed by a sub-MOA accuracy guarantee. Roy Weatherby handed these rifles to generals, astronauts, and Hollywood actors to build the brand's reputation. But nearly 70 years and multiple factory moves later, hunters still reach for the fundamentally unchanged Mark V action for one simple reason: it has never stopped living up to that reputation for raw strength. Number 3. The Sako 85. Finnish gunmaker Sako builds every barrel from a hammer-forged blank that's individually inspected by an experienced gunsmith, not a machine. And that obsession shows in the action itself. The Sako 85 uses a controlled round feed system with an extractor built into the bottom of the bolt face, which keeps the cartridge locked under control from magazine to chamber, no matter what angle the rifle is held at, backed by a 3-position safety and a trigger you can fine-tune between 2 and 4 pounds with a single Allen key. Hunters who've carried a Sako 85 across Scandinavian forests and African safaris describe the same thing decades into ownership: flawless ejection, flawless extraction, and a trigger so clean it feels factory-tuned by hand, because it essentially is. Number 2. The Winchester Model 70. Introduced in 1936, the Model 70 earned the nickname the Rifleman's Rifle so thoroughly that Shooting Times magazine crowned it the bolt-action rifle of the century in 1999. The pre-1964 version used a Mauser-inspired controlled round-feed claw extractor that captures the cartridge rim the instant it leaves the magazine, controlling it all the way into the chamber even if the rifle is moving or tilted. Marine Corps sniper Carlos Hathcock carried a Model 70 through the jungles of Vietnam, and collectors today pay well into the thousands for pre-1964 examples built almost 90 years ago that still cycle perfectly. After decades of design changes, the modern rifle brought that original controlled feed system back into production, because nothing Winchester tried ever truly replaced it. Number 1. The Mauser 98. Every rifle on this list owes something to Paul Mauser's 1898 design, because its controlled round feed system became the literal gold standard that virtually every major manufacturer since has copied outright. The massive claw extractor grips the cartridge rim the moment it rises from the magazine and never lets go until the fired case is thrown clear, which makes double feeds and failed extractions almost mechanically impossible. Mauser produced more than 100 million of these actions before 1945 alone, and a staggering number of them are still cycling smoothly today, well over a century after they left the factory floor, with zero warranty support and zero need for one. Professional hunters facing dangerous game in Africa still specifically request rifles built on this exact pattern. It's the reason 9 of the 11 rifles before it borrowed pieces of its DNA. When engineers needed to build something that would never fail a hunter at the worst possible moment, they built a Mauser. That's the real thread connecting all 12 of these rifles. It was never about price tags or walnut grades. It was always about a handful of gunmakers refusing to let a single part fail when it mattered most, warranty card or not. Some of these actions are pushing 80, 90, even over a century old, and they're still running like the day they were built, which says more about honest engineering than any spec sheet ever could. If you're chasing a rifle you'll hand down instead of trade in, any name on this list will get you there. Which one's already sitting in your gun safe right now? Drop it in the comments. And if you want the full story behind the cartridges these rifles were actually built around, that video's on screen right now.